Do you want to raise your test levels? Wherever you think you've got low test or you've actually been tested, this video is going to help you naturally raise your test levels. We're going to use science, we're going to use experience, and it's going to stop you from going, floppy in the bedroom to a man of steel. We want to also gain muscle, look leaner, feel better, and overall, high test levels is going to help you in so many areas of your life. So let's dive straight in. Look, there's so much confusion around increasing your test levels. Let me tell you a story. Whenever I first started the gym, people used to say, don't choke your chicken because that's going to help your test levels. Then there was no FAP. Then we have stuff like people saying squat, bench, deadlift are going to elevate your test levels and make a massive difference for your overall result. And in reality, all the research on these sort of things is very small and it's very short-lived. So you might get a small test boost, but it's so insignificant in the long term that it would make no difference for you. And I'm gonna break down here some key tips that are gonna change the game for you. Number one, supplements. Look, I was gonna leave this to the end, but everyone wants supplements first. So I'm just gonna give them to you and we're just gonna roll out with them. This is actually what I done a full year of research on in university. Vitamin D3 for test levels. Vitamin D3 is shown if you take 4,000 IUs daily to increase your actual test levels. And pretty much the idea of it is if you live in a sunlight deficient country, if you're in the likes of the UK or Norway or a country that just doesn't get much sunlight, or you don't go outside, you're like Joseph Yip, my videographer, who just stays indoors 24/7 editing these videos as I've got him pumping out the content for you guys. You can thank him later. If you don't get enough sunlight, vitamin D3 is essential and it's 100% worth the money. You can get cheap ones on Amazon. It's really, really good. I'd highly recommend that for boosting your test levels. Next up, we've got zinc and magnesium, all right? I would recommend supplements that do have these together, but you want the right dosage. 30 milligrams of zinc and about 400 to 600 milligrams of magnesium, right? Most people are just deficient in these. And as a result, you end up lowering your test levels. Even if you have a balanced diet, a lot of the time you just don't get enough of these in. So supplement these before bed as well is shown to put you in a deep sleep that can definitely help raise your test levels. Some people say they get weird dreams. You're dreaming about tasty protein. And the last one that has research that's so new is ashwagandha, right? KSM66 is the variation you want. You're gonna wanna take this before bed. This is shown to increase test levels massively because the way it lowers your sort of cortisol, your stress levels, and as a result, you get higher test levels, better recovery overall. So there's tons to actually back this, even though it's relatively new. They're pretty much the four I'd recommend. Vitamin D3, zinc, magnesium, ashwagandha. And before somebody says it, Tongat Ali, the research is so new and it's all over the place. For me, it's not worth the money yet. There's not enough to back it. Yeah, so to break that down, vitamin D3, 4,000 IUs, zinc citrate, somewhere between 30, 40 milligrams will be perfect for you. You can take more if you want. Magnesium glycinate, 400 to 600 milligrams daily before bed as well. And ashwagandha, somewhere around the 500 mark, and you are covered. Number two, we have your body composition. So you actually don't want to be too lean or too heavy. There's a sweet spot here that's going to optimally have your test in the best place. Whenever you are too heavy with body fat, right, you're going to have lower test levels. So anything above 20% for most meals is usually going to be it. On the other side, there's loads of data to show that if you diet for long time periods or you're too lean, under 10%, you're gonna have lower test levels because you're not made to reproduce. Also, you'll have probably some sort of nutrient deficiency. There's loads of research that show that whenever people diet for competition preps, their test levels naturally can drop as low as 77% lower than where they were when they started. And one of the telltale signs here is the fact that if your sex drive drops, there's probably something off to an extent. You'll notice it, you'll feel it. And that's why somewhere below the 10% usually is negative. So that 10 to 20% tends to be a sweet spot. Number three, you want to keep your sleep routine in check, right? Yes, I'm going to say, 7.5 hours a night to 8 hours is bang on. But also, if you work night shifts like I did in the fire service, it does affect your recovery, your stress, your test levels. But if you're all over the place with your sleep, it is shown to drop your test levels. So you want to keep this in check, even on the weekends ideally, because that's going to put you in the optimal place for recovery. A lot of your tests will be based off how your sleep hygiene is. Putting your phone away an hour out, making sure that you're not just getting the hour sleep, but the quality. This is overlooked so drastically. But if you literally are eating straight before bed, you're highly stressed, you're consuming loads of content in your phone, your mind isn't switching off, you're not lowering the heart rate, you're not getting into proper deep sleep, and as a result, your recovery is going to be impacted, your hormones are, and then that has a knock-on effect with everything else. The quality of your sleep is so pivotal for the actual strength in the gym. That muscle building is going to be so vital there. Like there's loads of science to show that if you have one bad night's sleep, it can lower your test levels by like 10 to 15%, and that'll impact your overall results. So what I would say is watch how much Netflix you're consuming at night. If you start Great British Bake Off, which is so addictive, I do not recommend. You'll be obsessing over tray bakes. But remember, one bad night's sleep, 10 to 15% down, that's gonna flow into everything. Number 4, doing too much training. If you're doing tons of cardio and you're also doing too much weights, you can reduce your test levels. I remember whenever I was getting coached years ago, and they told me first thing, you need to stop training 6-7 days a week. You need time to recover. So I don't do any more than 3 days of weights back to back. If you feel like you can't take time off the gym, you need another hobby. And that's when you binge your Great British Bake Off.
Texture of your flapjack
is
on the top. It looks a bit wet.
Oh yeah, that's because it's not baked yet.
You can only grow as much as you recover, and if you're hammering yourself into the ground, your central nervous system will feel it. And on top of it, if you're doing cardio, you're doing other sports, it's gonna drain you and impact your overall muscle growth and how good you look, along with sex drive, test levels, all of it. So train too much. Optimally, 3 to 5 weight sessions is gonna be ideal for building your test levels up, and that's gonna massively help increase that. Number 5, nutrition. Your actual food choices will dictate your test levels massively. When I say healthy fats, these are key for driving your test levels up, and most people are consuming their fats the wrong way. So what we want to do is really, for test levels, focus on 2 main types of fat: monounsaturated and saturated. So monounsaturated are the likes of like your 85% dark chocolate, avocado, nuts, nut butter. The nuts I'm talking about are not the ones downstairs you have. We're talking about the likes of almonds. These monounsaturates are shown to help with like growth hormone release, test levels. They're really, really beneficial. So incorporating these in your diet is pivotal. And then saturated fats in moderation is good for you. People scaremonger these all the time, but having red meats, the likes of eggs and stuff in your diet as well, are so pivotal. And keeping these levels high will massively drive your test levels upwards, because if you're undereating in fats, it'll definitely affect your hormones. I always think of like protein for recovery, carbs for energy, and fats for hormones. So always keep them up nice and high. This next tip's basic, but it adds up. If you are stressed off your banger, your test levels are gonna drop because your heart rate's always high, your recovery's impacted. Tons of studies to show this. So the best thing you can do is watch more of my videos, because they will de-stress you, make you laugh. If you notice that you're always stressed, it's not gonna be beneficial for growing muscle, keeping your hormones high. So building in some sort of routine that resets you or lowers your heart rate, like a walk, watching telly with a loved one, spending time with people that you actually care about, actually de-stressing every day will actually massively improve your overall growth. There's a reason that Mr. Olympias and all these bodybuilders do nothing but train and nothing else. They just relax. That's literally their lifestyle, because lower stress leads to better muscle growth, but also better test levels. And the last one we have, I know you love it, alcohol. I'm not saying you need to cut out drinking for life, but if you are drinking like 2 to 3 drinks a night, even 1 or 2 beers is shown to lower test levels. This lowers immune function. It will slow you down. Now, I'm not saying you can't have a couple cold ones with the boys. I do love a Corona myself. Having 1 or 2 here or there is not the end of the world. But if you notice that every weekend you're drinking, and especially if you're binge drinking, that is gonna lower your test levels drastically over the long term. So you do want to limit. It's going to make a huge difference to your overall health. I'm not preaching, I do drink, but in moderation, and it's not every week. A couple of beers once a month, no big deal. A couple of beers every single weekend will impact your test levels. Simple, but super effective. And I guarantee if you actually implement these lifestyle tips, you'll notice your test go whoosh. You'll notice your man go boom, and your girlfriend can thank me later, because she'll be very pleasantly surprised. And you'll also look better, because test is gonna make you leaner, it's gonna make you build muscle faster, it's gonna make your mood better. Any man with low test, it's not what you want. And look, that is it. As usual, look, I make this content because I just want to make a big difference. I want fitness to change people's lives. I want them to feel better. So it'd mean the world to me if you share this with somebody who would get value from it. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Big love, I'm out. Woo!